Hello Team FD and welcome back to Winners and Losers, the show where we make sense of the weekend's football. Joining me on today's show, it's Zachary Jalab. How the devil was your Saturday, Sunday?
Saturday was rough, man. Really rough. Down and out. I was counted out very early on Friday night. Home by 11:30. Yeah, Saturday was spent just watching films and kind of regretting everything. Got a McDonald's at about 12. Again, regretted it. Normally eating it either makes me worse or makes me better, but I don't think it's made me feel better in about 2 years. But apart from that, I went to Chelsea Stamford Bridge on Sunday, which was good fun. Took my housemate. But yeah, how was your weekend?
Yeah, I imagine it was good fun for you and not for Sonny Snelling of ex-Eurofootball Daily fame. Yeah, my weekend was good, thank you, mate. Although I had to edit Sunday Vibes on a Saturday, 4K footage, almost destroyed my computer.
Rough.
Don't want to talk about it. You know, let's just move on, okay? It's in the past now. It's in my rearview mirror.
For sure.
Let's start to this show like we normally do with the talking point before we move on to our winner, loser, and not moment of the week this week. I've gone for goal of the week. I want you to choose, Jalab. And as we progress through the episode, guys at home, I want you to either like the video if you agree with the selections, or I want you to comment if you don't. And me and Zach will get back to you in the first hour when this bad boy is uploaded. Right, the talking point this week then is Tommy Tuchel's tactical tweaks. Chelsea, of course, ended a run of 4 league games without a victory, beating Spurs 2-0 at the Bridge. The Lily Whites have been Thomas Tuchel's whipping boys since he arrived on these shores, haven't they? This was his 5th win in a row against the North Londoners, although not saying much. Previous Chelsea managers also had a great record against them. Tottenham have only won one of their last 31 away games at the Bridge, drawing 10, losing 20. That is miserable. Anyway, despite this imperious form against Tottenham, he felt the need to chop and change his side once more. Zach, what did he tweak then? What did he employ in this 90?
Yeah, you mentioned his tactical tweaks. It was changing formation. We've seen Thomas Tuchel try a couple of different formations over this season. Normally a 3 at the back, but with a lot of defensive injuries, he's come out and said at times that he doesn't have enough defenders to play 3 at the back. And so today we saw him go to, or yesterday I should say, we saw him go to a 4-1-4-1. Jorginho sitting in the middle with Callum Hudson-Odoi, Kovacic, Mount and Hakim Ziyech. And it was Hakim Ziyech who really benefited from this formation. He was as wide right as you could possibly have him, touching the touchline basically at all times, coming in onto that left foot. And boy, did we see a bit of magic from that left foot in the second half. He was fantastic for Chelsea today, or yesterday. He probably had his best game for the Blues.
You don't know what bloody day it is, do you, mate?
Yeah, I can't think. I'm still
think
it's
hanging. Sunday. Come on,
still
switch
hanging.
on.
But yeah, no, he probably had his best game for Chelsea against Spurs yesterday, and it was really good. Considering as well, he's come into a bit of form. His previous game against Brighton, he scored again from outside the box, cutting on that left foot. But he looked kind of visibly unhappy after scoring against Brighton. Wasn't celebrating. This one though, you can't not celebrate. I think George put it very nice in the Football Daily chat. He's one of the most, when he's on it, he's one of the most aesthetically pleasing footballers. He hits an absolute worldie and then just kind of warps backwards, knowing it's going in, hands into the air whilst he gets absolutely jumped upon. So it was a very good celebration. Now, Thomas Tuchel was very happy with him. He said it was good because it gave him the opportunity to take risks where it was possible to take risks. He was very reliable on the ball in moments where it was necessary. And obviously, Ziyech himself very clearly enjoyed the goal. Here's what he had to say to the press.
Yeah, I think it was a 10 out of 10, I think.
Yeah. Was it one of those, as soon as it leaves your foot, you know, that's it? No point in the goalkeeper moving?
No, I was following the ball, but I thought maybe I hit it a little bit hard, but on the end I saw it going, and, you know, yeah.
It's got to be said, despite that more advanced starting position than a wing-back, Ziyech didn't shirk his defensive duties either, and that's probably what Tuchel meant when you paraphrased him just there, saying that Ziyech was very reliable on the ball, right? He won possession 10 times, he put up 4 tackles, which were both team highs. So despite not having to get up and down the pitch like a traditional right wing back, he was still very much not shirking his defensive duties. But this wasn't at a cost of him putting on a show in Tottenham's third. As we know, registered 4 shots on target, created 2 chances. Tottenham as a team only tested Kepa 3 times. Now, we also want to shout out Mason Mount and Callum Hudson-Odoi in this system. The change of formation seemed to suit them down to the ground as well. Both registered an assist in this game. And we said on Sunday Vibes that Thomas Tuchel will be contemplating the future of some of his wide men because he obviously has a glut of options out wide come the summer. And Callum Hudson-Odoi stepped it up in this fixture. Of course, his output hasn't been meteoric or even consistent this season. This was just his second assist, but he absolutely destroyed Japhet Tanganga down that left flank. Mason Mount, he's on 13 goals and assists in just 16 starts this season. Can probably count himself a little unlucky not to have more than 1 assist in this game as well. Set up Romelu Lukaku with 2 really nice cutbacks, didn't he? I mean, there were difficult chances for Lukaku, but he probably could have done better with at least one of them. But did get that assist for the Thiago Silva header. What a beast Thiago Silva was in this game, by the way. I'll ask you about that very contentious moment shortly. But it means that Mason Mount is now... he's now put up 20 assists since the start of the 1920 campaign for the club. No one has put up more assists for the Blues in this period. He remains their go-to guy, doesn't he? Now, following this, the players who are not away on international duty will be given a week off to recharge their batteries, something that Thomas Tuchel has been pining for weeks and weeks. Chelsea have, of course, played a lot of football, haven't they? Before play resumes with the FA Cup showdown against League One outfit Plymouth Argyle, if memory serves me correctly. Now, as for Spurs, I thought Bergwijn had a very good first half, provided a real outlet for Spurs in that central area with his pace and sort of tenacity, although that faded in the second half. As you'd imagine, not a lot of Premier League minutes under his belt this season, so his fitness kind of failed him in the second half. Ultimately, though, except for that Kane goal, they were non-existent as an attacking force. 8 touches inside the Chelsea penalty area, their second worst return as a team this season. Let's give Conte the final word then on the golfing class between Chelsea and Tottenham. This is what he told the press after the game.
The club know very well what I think and the time that we need to come this gap, because there is not one transfer market to close the gap. I think that in this the last few years, this gap became very big, and now it's not simple to find the solution in a short time.
Now, Zach, before we move on to the winners segment, I wanted to give you the final word on some of the bigger moments or bigger topics in this game. Let's keep it nice and short and punchy. This episode's going to be long. So what did you make of the Kane shove on Thiago Silva? I say shove in inverted commas.
Yeah, I mean, in person, I thought it was 2 hands push, which I thought, if that is a bit more understandable. But then having watched it back, it's barely a hand. It's one of those ones where you see them given. I mean, Thiago Silva's gone down very easily. I think his momentum's taking him that way. I personally don't think it's a foul. Like, the goal probably should have stood, and then it's a completely different game, to be honest. After that, we could be talking. We could be having a very different outlook. So yeah, I think Spurs are really unfortunate with that. However, I feel like 7 times out of 10, that's always going to be given as a foul. Like, I can't think of the last time that wasn't given.
I think the way I view these scenarios is they set a precedent, don't they?
Yeah.
Do we want to see referees refer to this incident in the future and use it to justify a decision? I want forwards to be able to touch the defender, just as a reference point to know where they are before they peel away and score. Like, if they can't use their hands just to feel out their surroundings, then I think that sets a really annoying and unhelpful precedent. Anyway, let's move on from that. Let us know your thoughts on the situation in the comments below. Lastly then, Romelu Lukaku's performance, because not the best in this game, still has 5 goals in 11 starts this season in the Premier League for Chelsea. So, an okay season isn't beyond him, but looked a bit off the pace here, didn't he, compared to the rest of that front four you mentioned before?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it earlier. There was a chance he had on his right foot, his weaker foot. It comes in, it's on the volley. It's not the easiest, but there's another chance he has later on where, again, it's Mount's cut back and he just misses it. He just fluffs it. I feel like those are the ones where he can be doing better. And then also the times when he's on the ball, and we kind of said during Inter Milan he's improved in his performance on the ball and driving at the defender. He was against Eric Dyer, I think, twice twice, I remember, and he didn't really do enough. There was
Yeah.
one he peeled off the defender pretty well, his bread and butter, but the strike was just at Lloris. So there were interesting bits there. I feel for him because I was watching him a little bit more closely and seeing he kept making these runs in behind, and Chelsea just couldn't find him. Like, we couldn't find him. It was either we were trying to do the ball and the ball just wasn't good enough. It was always cut out very easily by Spurs, or we just didn't attempt it. And you could see him getting a little bit visibly frustrated. Like, he kept trying, and because he's doing all these runs, by the 75th, 80th minute, you could see he was starting to get a bit knackered. He wasn't, doing it again. And so, yeah, I think we are still suffering from obviously not having Ben Chilwell, not having Reece James, especially Reece James, whose ability to put the ball in the box is second to none. And hopefully that'll be much better when he's back after this international break, touch wood, if all goes well, maybe a week or two after. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to be reaching 20 goals in the Premier League season. That's in the Premier League, that's for sure. But if he can get to 15, like, I think that's a really good solid base. Like, this is what Tammy Abraham reached in his first season in the Premier League. He has been injured, he has had COVID, of course, but now we're getting into Feb. It should, like, I do want to see a little bit more. When you paid £100 million for a striker, like, not even thinking about the interview and any of that stuff, like, you do just want to see a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that is extremely fair. Chelsea fans, let us know your assessment of Romelu Lukaku's season so far in the comments, or hit hit Zac up on Twitter. Let's move on to our winners then. And it was difficult this week, but I've gone with Mr. Poopy Pie's suggestion of Norwich. Almost took it out when I saw his handle, but we move on. Now, it could have been Southampton. They put on a very spirited showing against Manchester City, didn't they? And I thought Salisu was unbelievable in that game. FYI, he has 10 more interceptions than any other player in the Premier League this season. That is a sign of superior match intelligence. It might not be long before the big boys start sniffing around him. And the fact that, they offloaded Vestergaard for 15 mil and then just banged him into the starting lineup makes me feel a bit ill as a part-time Leicester fan. But alas, we have to give Norwich their moment in the sun, don't we? Because a terrible start to the league campaign, a historically bad start, is quickly manifesting into something that is resembling a great escape story, because their win over Watford means that they ended a match week outside of the Premier League's bottom three for the first time in 840 days. And the 3-0 scoreline, also their biggest margin of victory in the top division since thrashing West Brom 4-0 in 2013. So it's a long, long time since the Norwich fans have got to enjoy a Premier League weekend like this. So we had to bang him in our winners. Zach, who caught your eye in this fixture?
Yeah, Josh Sargent, I think, is the guy. We've been quite critical of him this season. Obviously, he joined Norwich for £9 million from Werder Bremen. And in this game, he scored his first Premier League goals. And the first one is, quite frankly, outrageous. A scorpion kick, kind of back heel little flick. Not quite Olivier Giroud levels, but it was still very, very nice to see. His second goal in the 74th minute, which was a header, also meant that he became the Canaries' second top goal scorer this season, with only Timu Pukki ahead of him on 5. I think that kind of says where their problems lie at the moment this year.
Yeah, sums it up.
Exactly. But it is wrong to expect that the American should be prolific. His last 3 seasons in Germany's top flight yielded only 9 goals. And he's played a bit of a different position in this game as well. He wasn't necessarily a striker in this one. He was more of kind of a right winger, right mid, and he enjoyed it. As I said, this kind of right winger project is clearly working for him. And what he lacks in for his approach play, he's clearly making up in sheer effort. I mean, he looked just relieved to have scored, had a little celebration where he's had a kid and everything. But look, here's his post-match. Let us know what you think.
To be honest, it's been kind of a blur, to get your first goal and then to get your second right after that was pretty crazy, and obviously a big game for us, so a great night overall.
Were you aware as a group of players just how much was at stake here this evening?
Yeah, I mean, obviously being in relegation, every game was pretty big for us, but especially playing the team right in front of us, it's huge to get this win.
Our loser this week then, unfortunately, it's West Ham. This comes from @Yadio. Now, this could quite easily have been Arsenal after their boring snooze-fest game against Burnley. The Gunners have now failed to score in 4 consecutive matches in all competitions for the first time since December 2005. However, we're going to give it to West Ham because of their 1-0 loss and the ramifications it might have on the battle for top 4 could be big this, right, Zach? I mean, to be clear, not a criticism of Moyes and his men. Finishing the top 6 would be an unreal achievement 2 seasons on the bounce. However, part of me thinks that this loss signals the end of the Champions League dream, even though other teams around them have been really inconsistent. Tottenham are 1 point behind with 3 games in hand. Arsenal 1 point behind with 2 games in hand. And if Wolves win their games in hand, they'll be 2 points clear of West Ham. So I think at the moment, the optics, you know, with games not being played, probably favour Moyes' men still. But if a few results go against them, all of a sudden they're battling for Europa League, and it'll be a fierce battle as well. Now, Zach, it was last gasp for Manchester United, but did they deserve the full 3 points here?
Yeah, the underlying numbers would suggest so. The home side chalked up 16 shots to West Ham's 6 and racked up an XG of 1.6 to West Ham's 0.3. And it was a weird one. Obviously, the goal comes from Marcus Rashford, and who can begrudge him a bit of good form after a barren spell. It's a weird one. I still think, like, West Ham, Souček's caught up in kind of attack when he should really be in midfield. It's in the 90th minute. Is there much need? You're away at Old Trafford. Is there much need to go and try and get 3 points?
Tielemans vibes against
indeed,
Tottenham.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Rashford has now doubled his Premier League total in the last week or so, moving on to 5 goals and assists in just 7 starts this season. And he also loves a last-minute winner. All right, get this. Rashford has now scored a 90th minute winning goal 4 times in the Premier League, which is at least twice as many as any other Manchester United player. When it comes to someone that needs to clutch up, it is Marcus Rashford at the moment. Now, in fact, no player has ever scored more such winners in the competition's history. Fair play to Marcus, and he's only going to be doing better. He now has 90 goals and assists in 141 league starts for Manchester United. Now, it's easy to forget how special a player he is, especially when he first came through, even though he has had this barren run. He's only 24 still, so fingers crossed, Touchwood is only going to get better for Rashford. And now it's also safe to say that Rangnick was pleased with his use of subs.
Yes, I mean, I'm very pleased that the 3 subs that they prepared the goal and in the end scored the goal. They were all 3 involved with Anthony Martial, with Edison Cavani and Marcus Rashford, so that makes it even more important.
You're 10 matches in and there are definite signs of progress, aren't there?
Yes, I would have loved to have those 2 points from Villa Park, but in the end, I think if you score in the last almost second of the game, I think with the 17 points now, we are pleased.
We end the show then on goal of the week, because every suggestion I got for moment of the week was a goal. So simplified it. What are you going to go for then, Zach? Sargent Scorpion, Ziyech Perla, or the Kyle Walker-Peters sort of outside of the foot finesse against City? I thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, it was a little bit unorthodox actually, Kyle Walker-Peters' one, but it was a lovely, lovely finish. I like Sargent's. I really like Ziyech's. I feel like if I go with Ziyech, I'm being a little bit too biased. I
think he was the best card.
Okay. Then I'm going Hakim Ziyech. Yeah, it's an absolute peach onto his left foot. Like I think it's something that Chelsea have missed with him. So lovely goal.
Yeah, and if you've got a moment of the week that we've missed, let us know in the comments below, and let me know on Twitter, because I put out the winners and losers tweet every Sunday night, and we can keep doing this show if you guys keep responding. That is it from us. If you haven't watched the latest episode of Team Talk, where we debate the Premier League Team of the Year in conjunction with EA Sports, please go and do so now. Zach, what else is happening across Football Daily?
You can check out Sunday Vibes from yesterday, where the boys talk about transfers they want to see happen. Obviously, we've got Snapchat content going out all the time over there. Check us out on Twitter, check us out on Instagram, all that good stuff. And
you can actually see me just space out for 30 seconds during the Newcastle segment, where they're talking about Eden Hazard potentially going to Newcastle. I just couldn't really fathom it in my head, and contributed absolutely nothing in that segment. But away we go. Like this video, subscribe with notifications on, and we'll catch you on next week's Winners and Losers. Bye.